Canada's Gold Cup group for this summer is set. They will take on Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao for this summer's tournament. The Gold Cup kicks off June 14th, immediately following the Canadian Shield, where Canada will play Ukraine and I believe it's Ivory Coast in Toronto before making their way to BC Place before playing the first game of that competition. Wheeler, Wilson, Conway with you. This is a segment we like to call Oh Canada, Oh Baby. So let's talk Canada. How do we compare this group of Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao to the group that they played in the last Gold Cup, where they ended up drawing Guadeloupe, Guatemala, before beating Cuba to advance?
Yeah, it's a bit harder group, but look, I still expect Canada to be top of this group and win these matches comfortably, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of expectations, a lot of talk about this team of how they want to play, what they want to do, but you need to see them on the biggest stage. No bigger stage for me than Gold Cup this summer, so I want to see them come out to be their best and make sure that they go on. Can we win something?
What's your expectation, John?
They need to get through this group. It's a tough group. Honduras, tough group. Goes back to when they went down to Honduras how many years ago and lost 7-0 or 7-1, whatever it was. You know, El Salvador always comes with a squad of talented players. You know, compared to the last group, last Gold Cup, I think they need to get through this group. It's going to be tougher, but they need to show that this is the best and deepest and most talented Canadian team.
Yeah. Canada recently played Honduras and Curacao in the Nations League in 2023 and played El Salvador during World Cup qualifying in 2022. So there are recent reference points, but this evolution of Canada is more important because we're on the precipice of a home World Cup. And that's why the next question will be, okay, it's very hard to prognosticate what this group will look like because we're not sure which players will be there. When it comes to the Club World Cup, which plays out this summer, we know that Stefan Eustáquio will be there for Porto. Depending on where Jonathan David goes, does he go to a club that's playing in this competition? Or does a protracted move potentially rule him out? Inter Milan's there is Tajon Buchanan. What's his future look like? And obviously Alphonso Davies is ruled out as well. Other than that, it sounds like some of the other big dogs will be playing for Canada this time around. Is that your expectation, John? Because the Gold Cup is kind of being more experimental, more for fringe or younger players to try to earn their way into the team.
Not this time around. I think you need to have your big guys there. I think they need to have as many games as possible to get prepared for the World Cup next year. And this is a great opportunity against good competition. I think you need to have these big guys in there. You're going to probably have to adjust depending on what guys will go to the Club World Cup, but you got to have your big boys there.
You too? You agree? Because the way I honestly feel about this, I obviously want to see Canada's best players available come into these camps and play these games. But with this Canadian Shield tournament as well, you're asking a lot of players during their off season. Yeah. There's a lot of football that's being played. We heard one agent get fired up about his player being injured. There's going to be other concerns. There are other Canadian players who have had real problems staying healthy as well, who look to be core players for this team. I think you got to be smart about this. Yeah. I think that the goal was to win the Nations League. The goal is to figure some you-know-what out at the Gold Cup. That's the way that I'm approaching things. I don't usually say that about this tournament.
My point on that was the Nations League. I think if you would have saw Canada do better, win it, or at least be in the final of the Nations League, you probably would not have seen the bigger guys. And I think because they played not up to the expectation and not up to the way I think at the end of the day Jesse Morris wants to see this team play, I think you're going to have to see these guys in the Gold Cup.
I'm already preparing for Eustáquio, Laren, David to not be there. And for me, what I'm thinking about is for new names to emerge and to really take this program forward. I think they're more than competent. Like, can we get into some names? Like,
go ahead. What names do you want to see?
One who should be playing from the start, Promise David. Can we talk about this young man? We don't have a profile like him. 6'5", mobile, can score goals. Every time I check my apps, I see his name. It's just popping up. Can we see him start and lead the lines? He's dangerous. Jefferson, okay, we know the 5-star players that we have for this national team. Maybe we're not playing with Eustáquio, Laren, David. Obviously, Davies is going to be still injured and coming back from injury. But it's still more than enough depth within this side, John. I feel like this is the time to see them. We see in years past a Tajon Buchanan emerge over a summer window and people don't really know about them. This is the time to really deep in that pool. And this is what that tournament's about.
I think Jesse's going to have some tough choices because I think at this moment he's respecting the players that have been there and done it for Canada for a long time. And I think he's a little hesitant to put new players into that mix right yet.
You got to, though.
I don't disagree.
Do you think it's that? Because there's part of me that thinks, yeah, that might be kind of the case, but also stylistically speaking, I spoke about this on last week's show. I firmly believe that this team needs to evolve the way they play a little bit. And why Oluwaseyi and some players that are playing in the midfield right now, they're playing in those roles because they can run, they can press, they're quick, they fit the bill for what he wants to see when it comes to plan A. I want to see other potential solutions in this team that if a game doesn't set up that way, that you have other options, John. For me, this is it, because the convention, and we were having the debate off air about this, we're a year out from the World Cup. I understand that people will clamor and want these big players to come play. I want problems to be solved. Let's go to one directly. I'll come to you. Goalkeeper. Like, this is a position that it's an open competition right now. I want to be able to come out of that tournament saying, yeah, this is a goalkeeper that we're at least leaning to here over the next 12 months. Central midfield, where's the depth coming from? Is there a number 10 they can play? Is there a different wide player that can be a little bit more productive? Does a Promise David or a Daniel Jefferson provide something more or something different than the current strike pair? These are the things that I want to see at this tournament.
Let me just hit on the one thing. If you want to see them evolve and have a plan B, then you need to have your big players there to be able to go through that plan B so they understand it. And I think that's a big one. That's the big question.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I don't know if they'll have a plan B. I mean, I think Jesse is true to who he is and how he wants to play. They need to have better solutions sometimes because teams will do what teams have been doing and make it real difficult for them to do and play how you saw Mexico played. But I think, if you want to have a plan B and Jesse needs to come up with a plan B, then you need to have your players there to be able to do it.
I see the point. I just want to know when these guys are getting a break.
Yeah, that's
like, when does that happen? Like, I get it, and I totally agree with you, John. Like, I'm like, you obviously want the group there. Jesse Marsch makes it very clear with who he selects and how he's investing in certain names, and he's bringing in players, but he's not throwing them in right away and saying, hey, go do this. He wants them to go and look at training and see everyone develop and watch how they work. But again, if these guys don't rest this summer, when are they resting?
Yeah. I'll throw another couple potential problems that need to be solved. Left back. If Davies can't play, it's not about playing next summer, but there's a long runway between that time. But Davies hasn't really shown that he's able to regularly stay fit. Neither is Larea. Neither is Adekubi. What are your other options for left back? Center back. Moise Bombito has played every minute of every game under Jesse Marsch. Yeah. What if one of these players come the World Cup, you have some bad luck, one is suspended or not available? This is what I'm talking about. I don't think it's that straightforward. I think there's things that still need to be figured out.
Center back one is very concerning to me because these two guys are so good and they make such a difference to this group and how Jesse wants to play that if one of those guys aren't in the lineup, it's going to be interesting to how he deals with that. And we need to see. We need to have people available to be able to do that. I just don't know where that's going to come from.
Yeah. It's a Manning system.
I wonder if there's going to be
specifically for center backs.
But I wonder if there's going to be more dual nationals coming in.
Yeah.
And that's potentially something this summer that adds to the entire squad, or players that are also returning from injury. Some of them might be able to come back available as well. Considering all this, I think most fans will disagree with me and say what you said, John. Like, we want to see this team go to try to win this. Build some momentum, get some good vibes. This team improves as a collective, the best on best. If that's the expectation, you do call up your best. Does playing this tournament this summer come with an element of pressure as well built in? The fact you didn't win the Nations League to go out and win this one.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, how many times we talk about this team, how well they're doing, and the players that they have, and we've never seen a Canadian team like this. That's why, for me, I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. It's gone. But Nations League was that time, right? Like the game against Mexico, and I'm looking at it, I just felt like this was a huge missed opportunity because the whole week leading up to it, everyone was raving about this team for good reason. There's a lot to like about this Canadian national team, but you have to win. And now going into this Gold Cup, there's a lot of things that have to go right, John, for them to be playing in that last game of the tournament.
I think if you build it up and you create these expectations before an event and it doesn't come off, like the pressure mounts.
Yeah.
And I felt that was a big one in the Nations League. The buildup was, everybody was so excited about this team. This is the best. This is the deepest. This is the best Canadian team we've ever seen. And then you have to go out and you have to back that up. And I think you needed to back that up with a win in Nations League, and you didn't. So now pressure mounts. Now you have to get this group ready. Now you got to make sure everybody's on the same page in competitive games, because 2026 is going to come like that.
And it won't be easy, man. The World Cup, like the new format, there's so many, it's not going to be an easy run.
And by the way, there's going to be even more pressure because you're playing your World Cup at home. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
Like the value of being at home and the value of having your fans at your back, have your back at home is huge.
Yeah.
And
I
World Cups, you
would
need
have
luck.
loved to have seen more than, this is a gripe of mine, more than one Gold Cup game for Canada to be played at BC Place.
Yeah.
This is where you'll be playing at least 2 of your World Cup games, hopefully more than that. The fact that it's just one game, that's a little bit disappointing to me. And the one thing that Marsh will have to balance here, do you name 2 different squads for the Canadian Shield tournament to the Gold Cup? Because the club season, MLS season's going on, the European club season goes late. There might have to be some sacrifices made. You bring in a lot of players and kind of divide them into different camps as well. So it's a big summer ahead. We got you covered, the Canadian men's national team, the Shield, the Gold Cup, right here on One Soccer.